Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. This time around we'll be using the Eviscerator, and I did also finally purchase the Wraith. I just loaded an old save where I had money and bought it. It took me so long because in my actual playthrough I bought the Paladin and the Black Widow and I just did not have enough money to purchase the Wraith. But, again, loaded an old save, picked it up, and I'll be showing it now. You guys have been asking for it, so yay. Anyway, the Eviscerator. The Eviscerator really is an all-around fairly average shotgun. It does do a bit more damage and is a bit more accurate than weapons like the Katana. It weighs the same, so it's kind of a mid-tier in terms of weight. Same capacity, same fire rate, bit more damage, and bit more accuracy. But its specialty is just being a mid-range shotgun. It's not really... It doesn't have the range of, say, the Grawl Spike Thrower or the Geth Plasma Shotgun or even the Crusader, but it is very effective up to around mid-range for the most part. When you throw in a choke, you can actually get center mass shots at mid to long range, I would say. Something I would just like to quickly point out is, I don't know if it's this weapon, or if it's a bug with these targets or what, but when you hit really low on these targets, for some reason, and not even that low, it just... See right here we only have like 5 pellets, 1. It has problems with hit registration or something, or just the pellet showing up, and I don't know if it's the gun, and if I was aiming at an actual enemy at their feet, it would only hit with a couple pellets or something, or what. But normally this weapon, it shoots out 7 pellets. 3, 7, as you can see. So, and it has 3 shots in the magazine and 15 shots in reserve. I thought I just reset you. Alright, here we go. So, firing from the hip. That was a little high. Versus. There we go. And down the sights. But as you can see, either from the hip or down the sights, doesn't really matter at point-blank range. Really makes no noticeable difference for the most part. Maybe slightly tighter grouping down the sights, but at point-blank range, I would just fire from the hip. So now short range. This weapon also reloads quite quickly, as you may have noticed. Now, at short range, and again, we have weird bugs with the ammo showing up. Even at center mass, I don't know what's up. Maybe it's the gun. Don't know, maybe the gun's bugged. At short range, I would probably aim down the sights and aim for center mass. As you can see, we had quite the spread on the head, and we only hit with 1 pellet. Either way. So short range, I would aim down the sights and go for center mass. Now, mid-range... And mid-range again, and I was a little tiny bit to the left here, but it really didn't matter. The spread is too unpredictable at mid-range from the hip. I would definitely go for center mass and aim down the sights. We did pretty good there. And we're now reaching the edge of this weapon's effective accuracy. Mid to long really is getting beyond what this weapon was designed for. As you can see, from the hip is totally out of the question. Down the sights, you might get a couple pellets on them, a few pellets, so if they're near death, you might be able to finish them off with just a quick blast. I feel like I was able to do that in Mass Effect 2, at least, at longer ranges. So finally, gun may have changed, though. From the hip at long range... And as you can see, we are definitely beyond this weapon's effective accuracy at long range. But let us now throw in a choke. I don't normally use chokes in my shotgun demonstrations, but I feel like this weapon and the Wraith really benefits from them. Unfortunately, this is very early in my playthrough, so all I have is level 1, but whatever, it's a level 1 weapon. So, shouldn't matter, but the better the choke, the better the grouping, the better the spread, so something to keep in mind. And at point-blank range, I think it already is making a difference. We are getting tighter groupings, especially for the head. And I would still just aim from the hip, usually, and aim for the head at point-blank range, though you could use the sights if you are so inclined. Let us try short range. And as you can see, we are getting better spreads, especially on the head from the sights. at short range. So when you actually throw a choke into the equation, I would aim actually down the sights and go for the head at short range. I wouldn't aim for center mass anymore. Very good accuracy when you throw in a choke. Really improves the spread dramatically. Oh, that was a bit off. Good enough. This is mid-range. And at mid-range, we're getting a lot more shots on the torso from the hip. The head is still terrible. So at mid-range, I would say you still probably want to aim for center mass down the sights, but the hip does start to become an option in certain twitch situations, so something to keep in mind. Let us try mid to long range. See if this actually increases this weapon's effective accuracy, or rather effective range. From the hip is still pretty bad. I'd say down the sights improved to an extent with a choke. Let's try actually putting multiple blasts in. Just 2. Let's just try 2. Oh, I just reset. I'm the smartest. Ugh. Well, if you shot all 3 of your bursts into them, you'd probably be able to do some pretty significant damage with this weapon. It's not great, but I'd say with a choke, especially a better choke than what I have, you'd be able to do some good damage for center mass at mid to long range. Not headshots, but center mass shots. Down the sights, that is, not from the hip. And again, long range really is not what this weapon was designed for. That's basically it, guys. This was the Eviscerator. It's a versatile shotgun. It's solid at close range. It's solid at mid-range, maybe even mid to long range when you throw in a choke. I would say without a choke, you're best at point-blank range to just fire from the hip, aim for the head. At short range, to fire for center mass, down the sights. At mid-range, to fire center mass, down the sights. Mid to long range, to again fire center mass, down the sights, but you're really approaching the edge of this weapon's effective accuracy at mid-range when you don't have a choke, and then long range, it's just not effective. When you throw in a choke, again, at point-blank range, I would just fire from the hip, aim for the head, though you, of course, can use the sights, and you will get a tighter grouping, but it doesn't make a huge difference. At short range, though, when you throw in a choke, I would definitely aim down the sights and go for the head. And it also allows you to just go from the hip and hit the body much more accurately as well, which helps, again, in twitch situations. At mid-range, I would still go center mass and aim down the sights, though, again, it does allow you to fire from the hip at mid-range a bit more effectively when you throw in a choke. At mid to long range, definitely aim down the sights and go for center mass. It's still not super effective, but if you actually get a number of bursts in them, you might be able to do some significant damage. And then, again, even with the choke, you're really beyond this weapon's effective range. So stay tuned for the Wraith, guys. Thanks for watching, and